Well, let the investigations begin. The new Republican House is ready to bring accountability to Washington and President Biden himself. One of their first big targets will be collusion between tech giants and the White House. House Republicans are expected to launch a new panel, the weaponization of the federal government, that will seek emails, memos, and other communications from Biden officials. And the incoming chair of the House Oversight Committee says they will finally get to the bottom of President Biden's involvement in his family's overseas business schemes.
Let me be clear. We're not investigating Hunter Biden. We're investigating Joe Biden. And I think any American who's kept up with the political process over the past two administrations would agree. We need to know what is allowable and what isn't allowable with respect to foreign adversarial intervention among family members of presidents of the United States.
James.
But of course, the media isn't taking the new Republican majority very well.
The keys have been handed over to extremists.
The Republicans don't want to govern. They're locusts, and they feed on dysfunction and suffering.
What is going to be a problem is if the American people will be held captive over the next 2 years to the extreme MAGA Republican agenda.
So, Greg.
Yes.
Thoughts?
My thoughts are this. Maybe I just started paying attention, but I feel like this country has become like one big giant courtroom, and all the politicians or the political parties are a type of lawyer. They're trial lawyers who have no desire to compromise until the very end, right? So because no trial lawyer will say, I see your point. Whoever you're doing is going to. So we've adopted this model nationwide. So now you have this ping pong thing of when they're in power, they do investigations. And then when we're in power, we do investigations, which I am all for, because payback's a bitch. I'm sorry. Mayorkas, he needs to be filleted over Whipgate. The 52 Intel experts, they all have to be grilled over this. We know that there was something smelly going on there. Of course, the FBI, I want to know how much they were involved in initiating illegal acts that got people into trouble. And of course, the big guy, that's what this whole thing about. It's not about hunters, cocaine, and hookers, although that's going to be fun to listen to, right? It's like a Warren Zevon song. But it's about colluding with China or selling your influence to China at the harm of America. But most of these investigations by the Democrats early on were projections of their own malfeasance, right? The escalations in violence, Russian collusion, all of these things. So it really isn't payback at all. It's redirecting the truth, redirecting the justice, and perhaps punishment in the right direction towards Jessica and her ilk, her disgusting ilk.
Dana.
Disgusting is hard for Monday, right?
It's intense. Dana, the White House counsel has already said they need to start over, that they're not going to comply with their document requests and to bring it on, essentially. They're just going to say no.
Well, look, tactically, from the White House's perspective, I can understand it. And I think that if it had been a Republican White House, they would have done the same thing. I mean, that's smart. But they won't be able to run forever. And these hearings will happen. I think that one of the most important hearings is one that James Comer said is going to be first, and that is an investigation into what happened to all the COVID funds. I mean, why isn't that a bipartisan concern? Like, we all were very generous with taxpayer dollars to go to a lot of places. There's so much fraud. They don't have enough lawyers to even deal with that, even to begin to deal with it. How about all the money that went to schools but wasn't used for the schools? Like, that's useful. All the way to other things. Like, over the weekend, we found out that the January 6th committee, I think accidentally, but still, how does it happen that you release the Social Security numbers of all sorts of people who maybe went to a holiday party at the White House? And now their Social Security number is compromised, and they have to go through all the hoops to deal with that. So there's big things like the COVID funds and the Biden-Hunter stuff. We'll see about that. But also, I do think that there are things like, as you said, payback is a
B word. A B word. Beep.
Pregnant dog.
Beep. Jesse, have you checked to see if the Biden White House released your Social Security number from when you went to a party at the Trump White House?
My father's so afraid of losing his Social Security number, he won't even text me the number. He thinks it's going to get stolen. The Republicans, Dana, respectfully, when they were asked by everybody about the Russia collusion thing, they gave them everything. Tens of thousands of emails and text messages from everyone on the Trump campaign. Had to hire lawyers, go through depositions, and give people their cell phones and their computers for 2 years. Now the Biden White House is going to say, no, sorry, we're not giving you anything? No, that's not going to fly. And If someone tells you they've never been to New York City, and then you find receipts of them from New York City restaurants, pictures of them with the Empire State Building in the background, voicemails for them saying, I had a really great time, Hunter, in NYC. Well, let's do it again sometime. You're wondering what they're hiding about their trip from New York City. That's Joe Biden. He has said he's never talked to his son about his business. His son's never made any money in China. It's a bold-faced lie. So the problem is the media, if they're going to cover it or cover it up. They have news divisions in these networks, and then they have these investigative units. CBS has Catherine Herridge. They have good ones at the NBC investigative unit. These are good guys. They can't come out and say, yeah, we have smoking gun evidence. They took $6 million from the communist Chinese, and we have photos of Joe Biden with Chinese guys. Oh, yeah. And then the rest of the CBS News division comes out and is like, oh yeah, the Republican partisan attack machine. Like, you can't reconcile that. Yeah. So you can't set a precedent where, the FBI and the CIA can interfere in an election and cover up presidential corruption to swing an election and just say, okay, it's the partisan witch hunt. You cannot do that.
So, Jessica, Democrats so far seem like they're making the argument that doing oversight, whether it's Biden or other issues, is simply an excuse for Republicans, quote, not to govern.
Well, if
Would you agree with that?
No, I've said all along that I think that there are some investigations, like to your point, Dana, about the COVID funds. I don't know anyone who isn't interested in all of the PPP fraud, right? All of the mega rich people who got richer, who were stealing from the rest of us. Certainly the teaching, and we're going to talk about what's going on with the teachers' unions in a couple segments from now. We should claw money back that is not being spent appropriately. I think you could get bipartisan support for understanding the origins of COVID. I think that we are at that point now where there are bipartisan majorities who want to know just what happened here. Just tell us what happened. We would like a clear line to the truth about this. But to your point about not governing, there was polling that came out over the weekend. Now that we have Majority Leader, House Speaker McCarthy, what do you want to be the Republican priorities? Number one, fighting inflation. That was the same thing that they said about the Democrats, 78%. Loud and clear. Number two, protecting Medicare and Social Security. And there have been a number of Republicans who've already been on TV, including Congressman Mike Waltz, who we were talking about earlier, who said we're going to have to look at entitlements. That's going to be an issue for voters. You know what only got 31% support? Investigating Joe Biden. So you can go ahead and do it. I'm not afraid of it. If you find out that he's the most corrupt president in American history, impeach him, get him out of there. But if you want to win in 2024, you better not look like all you're doing is chasing pictures of Joe and Hunter and a Chinese guy around the city. That's not going to fly.
You're saying this after 5 years of that being done to Trump. Think about it.
That's not
true because it's Trump.
No,
right?
No, it's not true because it's not true.
Are you defending two impeachments? There were taxes. We've got to get his tax returns.
Okay. I don't understand how that isn't directly relevant to how the man has governed, that he got richer while he was in office, that he lied about things like not taking a salary, that his kids are getting trademarks all over the world from countries where the officials are coming to stay at Trump International hotels.
Right now, you're being a trial attorney.
Let's hand over the documents.
I wish. I should have gone to law school.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.